This is huge. The Baltimore Ravens have just signed one of their star players to a big extension, and this is big news as we begin OTAs and move towards the season. What is going on? My name is Sam Stewart. I hope everyone is doing well today. Before we get ahead and get into some really big news that came out today, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, stay up to date with everything Ravens. We're going to have in-season updates, as well as all your things like contract extensions, like we're talking about today, trade rumors, that sort of thing as well. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Rashod Bateman has signed a contract extension this morning. I got up and saw this news and was very happy. In an offseason where we have already seen Derrick Henry get extended. Saw this tweet from Adam Schefter this morning. Ravens signed wide receiver Rashod Bateman to a 3-year, $36 million contract that includes $20 million guaranteed. Now, this is great. I also want to give a shout out to Clifton Brown on Ravens.com, where I actually was able to read up a lot more on the story, and Jameson Hensley on ESPN. We'll talk about his article in just a sec. But, you know, the reason why this contract is so big for Bateman and so big for the Ravens organization as a whole is what we've talked about several times before. The NFL has a calendar, a cyclical period year to year, but also in terms of championship window. The Ravens are in that championship window. The number one passing attack in the league last year. Lamar was able to clean up a lot of those turnovers. We saw that offense come together at certain moments. Unfortunately, it didn't work out against the Bills, but you have a team like the Ravens who is at the top of their game offensively. You need to be able to sign these players to extend the window. You know, extending Derrick Henry, extending Rashod Bateman. These are guys who are going to be cornerstones that are going to be needed moving forward. But we're also cornerstones last year. You got to bring those guys back. Yes, you want to acquire new talent. We've seen that the Ravens strategy on defense right now, you know, with the acquisition of Starks and Green in the draft. You need to make sure that offense stays at the level it's at, you know, and to get the best out of a guy like Derrick Henry. And then now Bateman, and Bateman is a much younger player than Henry as well. So you're going to be able to see him hopefully for many more years. But this is a great start, you know, to hopefully making him a Raven for life. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of things regarding this signing. So let's go ahead and look at Bateman's stats last year. Like I said, he's only 25 years old. Played 17 games last year, 72 targets, 45 receptions, 9 touchdowns, and 756 yards. 44 yards per game, a very reliable target for Lamar. And like I said, when you're a guy like Lamar, you need guys that are going to, you know, you think about an MVP candidate, like I've said before. You know this guy's going to make guys around him better, but you need guys that are going to make you better as well. And Bateman is one of those guys. He plays with more. So, well, we really saw him come into his own over the past couple years. And Jameson Hensley has a great point about this, and I want to talk about his article on ESPN now. So let's go ahead and pull it up. Bateman, 25, has gone from being an underachieving 2021 first-round pick to the best deep threat for the NFL's number one offense in 2024. He was the only player in the NFL last season to average over 16 yards per reception and catch at least 9 touchdown passes. His 16.8 yards per catch ranked third in the NFL last season, behind only Indianapolis' Alec Pierce and Detroit's Jameson Williams. Bateman's 3 touchdown catches of at least 40 yards in 2024 were tied for the most in a season by a Ravens player since at least 2000. Now, this is a guy who's going to give you a deep threat, and, you know, when you bring on a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, which we talked about a couple of videos ago, it's going to make him even better. So I'm really excited, you know, to see the development that Rashod Bateman has had since his drafting, but now with the current Ravens roster, particularly this season, what we're going into this season with, I think those deep catches, we can see even more deep catches, and we can see him, you know, continue to put himself in the history books in terms of what we're talking about. You know, he's the last player, or these first players since this player, you know, this sort of thing with those deep catches, with those yards. I think with the addition of Hopkins, we're going to be reading a lot more sentences like this as the season moves forward. So let's go ahead and check out another quote from Hensley here. The 27th overall draft pick in the 2021 draft, Bateman had a challenging start to his career. He missed the first 5 games of his rookie season after undergoing hernia surgery and was sidelined for the final 9 games of his second season after foot surgery. Now, it's something that's very difficult to begin a career with an injury. You're trying to come from the NFL, adjust. You're playing with a superstar like Lamar, and this is a guy who had the talent. I think sometimes as fans, we expect so much out of these rookies. You've really seen Bateman start, to come into his own, and I think one last quote that I really want to talk about, because this signing, shows a cooperation. And Bateman has said that this was a very transparent process. This was a good process getting that extension. But we have some, history here between DeCosta and Bateman. So let's go ahead and see what Hensley has to say about that. I really enjoyed his article. In 2023, Bateman called out Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta on social media for the GM's comment about the team's disappointing track record for drafting pass catchers. Bateman later said he spoke to DeCosta, now we're best friends. A year later, Bateman enjoyed a breakthrough season as the number 2 wide receiver behind Zay Flowers. Bateman recorded career-high touchdowns with 756 receiving yards and 9 touchdown catches, leading to Thursday's extension. So it's great to see not only that this is going to be a big thing on the field moving forward, but also that this means that DeCosta and Bateman are on the same page, more so than they were in 2023, obviously, when he was calling them out. Obviously, it's great that they were able to work that out. And, one thing I want to point out as well is that team commit is such a large part of these championship windows we've been talking about. You see, someone division rival Steelers right now, which we'll probably get into in a future video. Is that a start to team chemistry is bad? That's you can't just add players in. So the fact that they were able to work this out, the fact that Rashod Bateman did want to stay for an extended period of time in the purple uniform, that says a lot about this organization. It makes me very encouraged moving forward. It's possible after a loss last year, you kind of start to see a little bit of a downhill movement, but everything indicates that the Ravens are going to be right back where they were last year and hopefully over that hump. So please let me know in the comments what you think about this signing. Do you think that this is a good signing, that the money is worth it to extend Bateman for the 3 years with the $20 million guaranteed? Or do you think it's maybe a little bit too much right now? And also, let me know about what you think about a receiving core and whether or not Rashod Bateman and Zay Flowers will benefit from the addition of Hopkins, and what we can expect out of this wide receiver trio this season. So go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think about that. This is Ravens Digest. My name is Sam Stewart. We'll see you next time.